Sick Harrison Bryce for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. We're a presentation of Bet365 coming to you from the Nation Network studio here at the historic Wall Center. Matt Sikaris alongside Blake Price, four-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogerson, hitting switches, conducting things with intern James No.
I might need medication at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So many chemicals flowing through my blood right now.
Oof. Can't take that in the quarters.
No.
I mean, the glass half full view here is we gave him 6 skaters and we still beat him.
There's a spin.
It's like a handicap match with Andre the Giant. Yeah.
We spotted you in a legal late goal and we still beat you.
We still got her done.
That's a nice spin.
Oh, my.
Oh. That was a morning. Is that easier to take if it's like 8 p.m. versus 9 a.m.?
I don't know. I think
it's
it would be
way
hard
to start
at
the
any
day.
time of day. I can remember watching the loss to the Czechs in Nagano in the middle of the night Eastern time, and that was hard to take.
You got a couple drinks in you maybe, though.
The loss to Switzerland and to Reno in the middle of the day, that was hard to take.
Whew.
But, like, the stakes here is you lose and you don't even play for a medal in men's ice hockey.
With David Pasternak, the opposition, even saying it's maybe the best roster ever.
Yeah. Well, and those comments that we, joked about with Marty Natchez. Oh, well, we gave him the first one because we thought it would be so difficult to beat Canada twice.
Almost proved prophetic.
Yeah. Let's start with the Yellow Dog poll question brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. What's your takeaway from Canada's narrow win over Czechia? Great game, terrifying game. What says you?
You saw me. Terrifying. And that's not to say that the great game part is not correct. It was a spectacular, for a neutral to be watching that, that was a spectacular hockey game. But no, my overwhelming emotion was that was a terrifying game. And one that I didn't expect to see happen.
No, on both fronts here. Honestly, we talked about how the opener of this tournament against the Czechs was a good test for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They came to play. It was a reasonably
Smelling
competitive
salt?
game.
Yeah,
exactly. It was 2-goal margin after 2 periods. Chances were absolutely tilted Canada's favor. And I thought, these guys have a few more games, a couple more games under their belts since then. Plus, they'll have a chance to diagnose what the Czechs were trying to do in that first game. This could be blowout city. Mayor of Wrongville. I'm with you. It was terrifying. And here's the thing. Blake and I don't root for club hockey. So international hockey in Canada is what we've got. The pacing in this studio... At one point, I was just recoiling, fetal position at 3-2.
The Natchez breakaway, I fell to the ground, yes.
Yeah.
Not proud moments.
No. No.
I needed to hide.
At one point, intern James had the camera on us, and I'm hoping he takes that footage to the grave because not our finest moments there. I mean, try and play it cool. It was anything but cool in this studio. I'm not sure what it was like where you were watching the game. At one point, I let out a cry of, no! Like a shrill little, prepubescent voice, no.
Again, this was the quarterfinal, folks. I'm getting texts from my daughter that the main commons at her high school had a projector screen showing it.
Nobody's going to class.
Everybody was gathered in there watching the final moments of it. This is the quarters. Oh, but let's keep the NHLers at home, Matt.
Yeah. Let's go for a Yellow Dog.
Let's go for that's what I'm saying. I think this would be easier to take if we had Yellow Dog flowing. Mm-hmm. Or... better yet, because they flow so easily, the Hi There Hard Iced Tea Comes in a mix pack now, don't you know? Yellow Dogs made this into a lemon, peach, raspberry, and classic lemonade box. Crisp, refreshing, easy to enjoy after a day on the slopes, the rink, or the couch. And yeah, might come in handy right now.
Our top story brought to you by Pacific Blue Cross. Disaster averted. Mitch Marner scores. Minute 22 seconds into overtime as Canada survives. Czechia advances to the semifinals of the Milan Games with a 4-3 victory. You know, I was beginning to think it's been a good 158 years of Confederation for Canada, but, you know, lose this one, might as well pack up and become the 51st state. Not really, but by the same token, so disappointing that the best collection of our hockey players could look so bad for so long in an Olympic quarterfinal. This wasn't a gold medal game. This wasn't Sweden or the United States on the other side who were full of NHL players. This was a handful of very good NHL players, some NHL pluggers, and a bunch of European pros.
Matt, you have to believe that there is an immense amount of learning there. For these Canadian
better
players.
Be.
And you know, a lot of these guys played in the Four Nations. You'd think that education will have already happened. But the Olympics is a different tournament. It's a way different stakes. And we watched and we saw NHL club level mistakes being made late in that game. Soft alligator arm passes.
Soft plays.
And it's like, guys, firm, crisp to the other guy that's headed to the Hall of Fame. Can you as a Hall of Famer to be, pass to that guy a little bit better, please?
Kyle McCarr had a defensive shift where he was just dominated. And I'm sitting there going, that's the best defenseman in the world.
Yeah.
But you and I both talked, how about Macklin, huh?
97 and 17 were
There's
the only
a
guys
play
not
on the
showing
half
like that.
wall where if he plays it quickly, he probably gives up possession, but he eats the puck for a second and allows his teammates to regroup.
Even 29 wasn't as noticeable as 97 and 15.
No.
It was those two guys.
More on that
alone.
with Frank Corrado later in the show. Said we weren't even a one-line team because it was only two-thirds of our
two-guy team. That's true.
I mean, what we're supposed to have is depth. I mean, John Cooper, the lawyer from Prince George, should be able to just roll 4 all tournament long.
It's horrendous.
Mitch Marner saves Canadian bacon. Following up on his clutch play from last year's Four Nations, you may remember he scored the overtime goal against the Swedes to win and then feeds Connor McDavid on the tournament-winning goal. Love the tweet from Luongo. Marner was born to wear that maple leaf on his chest. Oh.
Just needs to be red, not blue.
And you do wonder how this goal is landing in our largest city. I'm sure there's relief and all the same emotions that we're experiencing here in Vancouver, but I also have to think there's a tinge of regret that it was allowed to get to the point where Mitch Marner didn't want to date you anymore. He broke up with you.
Mark Stone was asked about his reputation for not being clutch, and Mark Stone goes, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
All I've seen as a Golden Knight and Canadian player is that guy step up. So don't know. He's winning over most hockey fans at this point. Mm-hmm. Although, Matt, it took a long time for that depth because, as we just said, like we were imploring this team well into the third period. Is anybody going here?
No, exactly.
And then Suzuki has a tremendous shift. He's in the middle of it. Everybody else has gone for a change. There's one Canadian player engaged in the sequence, and it's Nick Suzuki.
Right.
He wins 2 puck battles on his own with 3 Czech players trying to peel it off him. Is able to disrupt play enough that the Canadian reinforcements come over the bench and then goes to the front of the net to tip home the game-tying goal. So huge credit to him, huge credit to Marner.
Yeah, and can we win a face-off?
Oh, my gosh.
Like,
kept on getting the offensive zone face-offs. Couldn't win them to save our lives.
Did Czechia have Manny Malhotra in uniform?
No, they had Lukas Sedlak.
All 4 lines?
From Pardubice, Lukas Sedlak.
Yeah. Like, and even...
Oh, my gosh.
And I don't even get, like, you've got an offensive zone left side draw when the Czechs are just icing the puck trying to survive. And he comes with the right shot, McKinnon, to take the face-off. And I go, why wouldn't you have a left-handed guy on a strong side there? I mean, I guess they have a face-off play designed.
Yeah, I would guess, yeah.
But I'm sitting there going, Jesus, like, can we possess the puck off a draw for one sequence?
They just kept on icing it, and we kept on thinking, okay, well, they'll win the next one. Nope.
No.
Ice again. Well, they'll win the next one.
Lost the opener in overtime. And you know how terrifying it is in overtime when you don't have possession 3-on-3.
It's like old NFL overtime. If you don't get the ball first.
Losing the toss. Heads. No. It's tails again.
It's over.
Marty Necas, Jordan Binnington stops Necas in regulation. At the end, makes another great stop on Czechs notes. Radim Simek in overtime 3-on-3. Thank heavens for Nick Suzuki deflecting that point shot from Abbotsford's Devon Taves past Lucas Dostal with 3:27 left to tie it. So from national travesty and disaster to one of the best hockey games in recent memory, as per our poll question.
Yeah.
If only that was the entirety of the story. Czechs lead 2-1 after 1, 3-2 after 12 minutes into the third on an Andre Palat goal that converts a 3-on-2 for Czechia with, 6 players involved in the play.
In the build-up.
But as many as 8 Czech skaters on the ice if you take the long view from behind Binnington and see the change that they're making, which is pretty liberal to begin with.
Yeah,
but there's 6 guys in the huddle. In the celly.
I'm more accommodating of that if that's all that it was. But when you make a defensive play with 6 players on the ice and build up the play with 6 players on the ice, that's a demonstrable advantage.
One would think.
That's not bad administration on the bench, which is generally how too many men goes. This was a full sequence. They get the rush because they've got an extra guy out there to help block the shot.
They have half their fucking skating allotment on the ice.
By the time the goal goes in, yes. I shudder to think, like, the howls out of this country if it's a 3-2 final and that's the game winner, Matt. And really, what would be the defense?
And have we shown have you put the shot on, Mike? Okay.
Yeah.
CBC has recently got the long view with the 8 skaters on the end. And you were looking it up. It's not challengeable?
No, not on the list of challengeable.
So there's no recourse whatsoever?
There would have been no recourse.
Could you imagine, like, and especially if the Czechs would have gone on to win gold, like how tainted that medal would be?
And to the point, I don't know that the coaching staff saw it real time.
How can you have that many experienced NHL head coaches? It's all head coaches on the – well, maybe that's the problem. They let their assistants look at the other teams.
They're usually
But you got Hockey, you got Cassidy, you got DeBoer, and you got the lawyer from Prince George. Not to mention –
but here's the thing,
13 forwards, 7 defensemen, and an extra goalie.
Here's the thing.
There's 25 Canadian people on the bench, not including trainers and support staff, and not a single one of them flags this?
This moment gets worse, Matt. The smoking gun is still being held at the time of the murder, if you will.
At the celebration.
The celebration included 6 Czechs. They do the whole handshake thing at the bench. 6 of them. The officials, Matt, they quietly must have known at that point, and they quietly must have been shitting bricks.
Oh, can you imagine the panic that courses through those guys?
Oh, my God, we just allowed that goal.
With 6 skaters involved in the play.
I mean, again, in the end, disaster averted.
Well,
but it was that close.
But the other thing here, Blake, like, Binnington is under fire in this game.
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me? Like, Binnington.
I won't say under fire. They won the shot totals handily. The Canadians
So you have
did.
the Stone turnover early that leads to a goal. You have the Czechs with some short-handed chances after that. Aldergrove Shea Theodore, his stick explodes. It goes back the other way. Thankfully, the guys on the bench are yelling at Theodore to stay on the play. Don't come to the bench for a stick. He gets in the way. Bo Horvat on the back check but could have easily been 2-1 there. Roman Cervenka hits a post on the power play, and then seconds later, Pasternak scores with the same one-timer from the other dot.
Each team with a power play goal. Shots were 2-1, 41-24 in Canada's favor. So they
were not lopsided, Blake. Some of that is the late comeback flurries from the Canadians when the Czechs are icing the puck.
Well, the
Bennington
second
has to
period was the biggest one.
A glove save on Schlappick early in the second period. McKinnon scores on the power play to make it 2-2 from McDavid and Celebrini, and I'm sorry, I just love that score line. In any combination, McDavid from McKinnon and Celebrini from McDavid and McKinnon, just love it. But then the Czechs have 2 immediate chances after that and hit a post. And then Nick Suzuki misses a yawning cage from the side.
Goes far post from the tight angle. Yeah. There was opportunities.
There were Pasternak and Sedlak chances early in the third period. Binnington has to make a great kick save. It was astonishing to watch. I mean, never in my wildest did I think we would be in that predicament. Macklin Celebrini, North Vancouver opens the scoring. Nice pass from McDavid.
Oh, I think you're underselling this. That was a steal and pass for the ages by Connor McDavid. Like spectacular stuff.
Through 2 Czech defenders and Macklin with a world-class finish because he's got to shoot it through a defender and the goal and has to beat the goaltender, and it is top left-hand corner, and it is stylish.
And it was so stylish, Matt. I think you would have been forgiven if you're a Canadian fan watching that going, okay, it's going to happen here, folks.
Yeah, wow.
It was an early goal. You're up 1-0, and it was a spectacular goal by the 2 best guys in the ice. I think there was a bunch of people that were like, all right.
But if I can borrow a phrase from soccer, that was the only champagne hockey we saw. Yep. Like, the rest of this was pretty well earned.
You had to work it. Yeah, for sure.
The Canadian support forwards were just not there. Not till late. Not till Suzuki and Marner late. Way too reliant on McDavid and the 19-year-old Celebrini. And that's in part because Captain Sidney Crosby leaves this hockey game in the second period, not to return after taking a couple of hits, a big one from Radko Gudas. I saw the good doctor there on Twitter, Harjaz Gruel, saying he looks like an MCL injury based on what he can see on the video. Darren Dreger saying he's going for an MRI.
All the players in the room after the game, if they were informed on this or just hopeful, unclear, but they were to a man saying this is not Sidney Crosby's last game at these Olympics. So, well, they might just be hopeful, but maybe he says something on the way out the door that I think I'm okay. We're just going to go check it out. Who knows?
But of course, the other luxury you have here is that you're allowed to dress the 13th forward. So you can put him on the bench in uniform and spot play him if you do not think that he can take a regular shift.
Okay, so here's another thing I am wondering about here. Time is not of the essence here. He could have gone for the MRI after the game. Marie-Philippe Poulin on maybe a half dozen occasions over the last few big best-on-best tournaments on the women's side has been unable to complete the game. She would go to the bench in full equipment and sit there and be a presence. Yep. Should Sidney Crosby, and again, whether that's his call, the coach's, I'm not blaming this on one person because I don't know who actually has final say, but I think it would have been helpful to have Sidney Crosby on that bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know without the extent of the injury. Put it this way, Blake, even if it's just for presence, I think I would make him my 13th forward in the gold medal game.
Yeah.
Semi might be a different case. And if we can bring up the lines and defense pairings and how they started here today, Josh Morrissey did not make it, so they were down a left side defenseman. Thank God Thomas Harley has played as well as he has in this tournament.
Yep,
he's not having a great NHL season, but he's been awesome. And it turns out that Sam Bennett missing practice yesterday was not just a maintenance. He was scratched in civvies. Couldn't go. and that brought Brad Marchand,
who was only used for
back
7
into the
minutes.
lineup.
So,
well, I told you before the tournament, Marchand's defensive play has fallen off the table this year, and you were going to have to shelter him, and they have sheltered him, including he's not even playing. You remember he had the great chemistry with Crosby once upon a time, the two Nova Scotians, and then there's West Vancouver Sam Reinhart, who has just
under 10 minutes as well.
We went in this tournament. I said, Sam Reinhart's our best goal scorer.
I had him,
arguably our best goal scoring winger. And
my first 2 Bet365s were Sam Reinhart's.
Yeah. And then how about Canucks defenseman Filip Hronek for the Czechs? He plays a game-high 30 minutes and 19 seconds. 7 minutes more than any other Czech player. They relied, needless to say, on their top NHL guys. This after playing nearly 28 minutes yesterday against Denmark in the play-in game.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck for the guys that can handle that, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's for selfishly the Canucks, they're probably very, very happy that he's not going on to the tournament because he's going to need some rest. Get into a pod and get his butt back here for practice.
Patrick Johnson's going to join us here shortly from the arena in Milan. He's covering for the province in Postmedia. We are also going to talk some Vancouver Canucks coming up here after they convened for practice yesterday and are doing so again today. But before we leave this game in the Olympics, a reminder, line combinations throughout the tournament, updated daily. Check out the DFO's line combo page, dailyfaceoff.com/teams. More on the Olympic tournament in a second.
Top story brought to you by Pacific Blue Cross. You can win the ultimate Canucks road trip. Yeah, there's still NHL season left, remember. Get Pacific Blue Cross travel insurance and you head out on the road with the Canucks, complete with flights, hotel, lower bowl tickets, and more. No purchase necessary. Contest ends February 28th, 2026. Enter now at pacificbluecross.ca/Canucks. I
am such an Olympic nerd. I was up watching Slovakia, Germany this morning. Now, I didn't make the first period, but joined that game early in the second.
I'm going to check you on that. You're not such an Olympic nut. He can't sleep, folks. So he was available to be.
No, I sleep great from 7 p.m. till about 3 a.m.
Yeah. He works
I'm
on
like
Eastern.
an infant. I have dinner, I go to bed.
You're not even on Eastern time.
No.
You're on Atlantic. Glace Bay's Matt Sakaris.
Give me the extra half hour, St. John's in Newfoundland. Where's Brian Williams and his watch?
Yes.
Heard someone on the radio today referencing Eastern time, and I was like, we're a long way from Brian Williams, who would have known his audience.
Yeah.
The Slovaks, with a thorough victory over Leon Draisaitl and the Germans, scored twice in rapid-fire succession early in the second period. So the number 3 seed, yes, the Slovaks are the number 3 seed here, advance and would play the United States should the U.S. beat Sweden.
I forget if it was Dom's model or Dmitry Filippov who had it. They had it 57% in Germany's favor in that game.
Well, and the Germans were the betting line favorites despite having to play yesterday.
And they get caved.
But the Slovaks have been awesome.
They've been good.
They've
been very good.
Like whoever's coaching Slovakia.
Well, the kids have really.
Slavkovsky just turns it on every Olympics.
And Dvorsky.
As a 21-year-old, as a 17-year-old.
Yeah, it's been very.
Yeah, Dalibor Dvorsky, the St. Louis Blues prospect.
Yeah.
Has been good. He plays a heavy game. And that U.S. game against Sweden is underway. U.S. head coach Mike Sullivan, the New York Rangers, has been beefing about the late start times for his team's games.
Oh, muffin.
Here's the thing. And I can't believe, no one in the U.S. pool has put this to him, or at least I haven't heard it. So, Mike, one of the biggest stakeholders in Olympic Games is the American National Broadcast Carrier, NBC. When does NBC want the games on in the Eastern time zone? As close to prime time as possible, right? And so, 6 p.m. face-offs or 3 p.m. face-offs, they want those games as late as possible in the United States.
Yep. Sully might have something else to complain about in this game. 2 Canadian refs. I'm sure he's
There's a Sweden American in the.
Yeah.
Let's not scrutinize the nationality of the officials, though, Blake. They are objective. They are professionals. And so long as they and their family aren't in LAFC gear at the match,
That's
like
true.
that MLS official, they should be good to go. How about Finland? Comes back from 2-0 down to Switzerland, scores twice in the final 6 minutes and change, including the game-tying goal with less than 2 to play. Arturo Leikkanen wins it in overtime. Canada gets Finland if the United States wins. It's Canada-Sweden if the Swedes advance. It's Canada-Finland if the United States advances.
Credit to some of the Germany was better. They haven't taken a massive stride forward, but Slovakia has and Switzerland has. Like Switzerland, the rest of the world the floor is coming up from the top 8 nations.
And look at all the ties that bind in this USA-Sweden game. Big Head Hockey had this. Now, of course, we're all fixated on Elias versus JT. That's fourth-line penalty killer JT. And Elias versus Quinn, his former captain with the Vancouver Canucks. But you have Nylander versus Matthews and the ties that bind with the Leafs. You have Lucas Raymond versus Dylan Larkin and the ties that bind with the Red Wings. Rasmus Dahlin versus Tage Thompson and the ties that bind with the Sabres. Zibanejad's facing all his teammates with the Rangers, Trocheck, Miller, and his coach, Sullivan. Markstrom versus Hughes, devil on devil. Gustav Forsling, the former Canucks prospect, versus Matthew Tkachuk down Florida way. And Landeskog versus Brock Nelson on the Colorado Avalanche side of things. I would venture to say that these two teams, or at least some of the particulars, know the other side really well.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what makes Olympic hockey so much fun. Meanwhile, and look, as you know, hockey and the men's tournament is the big enchilada at a Winter Olympic Games, right? Now, perhaps in Europe, the big enchilada is the alpine skiing, but for the most part, the men's hockey tournament is the belle of the ball. And so what you have is millions of Americans who don't follow the NHL day to day, who tune in for this tournament and go through a process of discovery, including a process of discovery with former Canucks captain and Minnesota Wild defenseman Quinn Hughes. And Blake, everybody is wondering why itty-bitty Quinn Hughes, who stands out because of his diminutive stature on that bench, has that blank forever stare on his face when he's on the bench. It's gotten to the point with the memes and everybody on social media going, what's with the Hughes guy? Why does he look like a Grim Reaper? Why does he see ghosts? He got asked about it.
He looks like the Ben Affleck smoking meme is what he looks like.
And he acknowledges that, yeah, there's now guys that are on the rink who are bringing it up to him on the opposition bench. And he says, well, it's that way because I'm just so focused. We all in Vancouver and British Columbia know this. But they're going through the process of discovery with Quinn Hughes south of the line, and they're wondering, why does he just have the blank stare on his face?
Yeah, the blank face is like it's not even like he's just staring off in the distance. There's a particular sort of stunned blank stare look to him. Mm-hmm. But I mean, hey, his play on the ice does the talking.
Yeah. In a moment, Patrick Johnston, who's worked the post game here from the Canada Czech game. We'll get to him in a second. Mike, instead of going to Canucks, we'll save the Canucks for after PJ because I want to get to some audio there. I don't want to do that and have to split it up when PJ joins. Just more on Canada for day 12 here in Milan. A bronze medal has just been secured in the women's short track relay. And a little bit of a disappointing bronze medal because this is a strong Canadian team and they were on the lead early in this race. Now, I saw Stephen Dubois and Will Danjanu both get through to the final of the short track 500 meters. Has the final gone yet, or are we still awaiting the final? So an opportunity for a couple of more medals here for Canada in short track if they can.
It's moments away.
If they can both hit the podium in the shortest and most electrifying event of the short track.
I mean, we have 2 of the 5 skaters on the ice. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got a double result there? That would help to supercharge our...
That's what we need at this point, Blake, because we've talked about how the games just really aren't going our way. There's a lot of near misses. There's a lot of underperformance. There's a lot of choking under pressure. And speaking of, Rachel Homan and the Canadian women's curling rink with a narrow lead over Italy as we speak. It is 5-4. Not sure what end we're in here. But if you've followed this, Rachel came out of the gate 0-3. She pretty much needs to run the table to get into the knockout round. So she's got Italy, who Mike tells me, because he produces Inside Curling with Kevin Martin, you should check it out on the Nation Network, daily during the games, weekly thereafter. We had Kevin on the show on Monday. Italy's usually a pretty good rink, has struggled. Korea is outstanding, and that's the last preliminary round matchup for Rachel Homan and the Canadians. So if Rachel blows it from here or loses to Korea, you're going to nix another medal from the possibilities for Canada.
Yeah.
And we really should go 4 for 4 in hockey and curling, right?
I mean, you'd think.
Like, I don't want to get greedy and say it should be 4 golds, but
no,
gosh, it should be 4 medals.
Oh, yes. Medals for sure. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it should be gold or silver, one of the two.
It really should. Now, I missed this earlier, so when we're talking about Brad Jacobs' rink later in the program, and that was recorded a little earlier, there was another argument on rink.
This time with the Italians, who, as they're sweeping a Canadian stone going through the house, bump their own rock, pointed out by Kennedy, I think.
This is the Canadian third, Mark Kennedy.
Yeah, I believe
it
was
the subject of the double touch at the hog line.
And there was it wasn't raucous, but there was a discussion.
Was there more cursing?
I don't think there was cursing.
Was there more don't you dare?
But they eventually got the stone removed. Okay. It was officiated that the stone would be removed, and Canada goes on to victory.
And what I worry there, Blake, is that that Jacob rink has been excellent. But to me, they are so emotionally on a knife's edge here with everything that's gone on since that double touch infraction and if you don't know, the Swiss pointed it out to their coach, who happens to be Canadian Glenn Howard, the former Labatt, former Brier champion. Nothing was done in terms of confronting the Canadian team on it until the Sweden match after. And of course, the Swedes did confront Canada. Patrick Johnston is ready to go from Milan, Mike, so let's bring him in. Columnist with the Province and Post Media, who worked the post game on a night I don't think Canadian hockey will soon forget. Peach, how goes? What was it like being in that building?
Relief. I mean, there's so much tension. It's all just building and building and building, isn't it? Right? Like, it was a tense 8 minutes, 6 minutes. How long was it between goals? I don't even remember.
4 on the clock. Yeah.
Drama,
4 minutes on the clock.
4 on the clock, whatever it was. All the drama, obviously, the too many men on the goal, like an absolutely appalling miss by the officials. But yet, Canada persevered and got goals from guys they need to go. Like, they got goals from their stars, and then they got goals from their depth guys, and that's what you need, especially when you lose your captain.
Okay, let's just go on. Well, 6 guys involved in the play, 8 skaters on the ice at one point for the Czechs.
Well,
Does everybody in the press box recognize this? Like,
In the moment?
when is that brought
We
up?
didn't recognize it. No. I will give full credit to. I was in the elevator coming down. Apparently before the elevator broke, because the elevator for the American journalists to go up, they had to take the stairs. We didn't do it. Anyway, I'm
No
sitting here,
gamesmanship.
My phone buzzes, and it is Mr. Drance, and he goes, "Holy shit!" Or pardon me, but that's what he said, or I said, and it was literally, "Look at this," and you're like, and there's 4 guys in the shooting lane.
Yeah.
It's not even that there's it's like Thomas Harley. So I asked Thomas Harley, and I said, "Did you realize they had 6 guys?" And he said he said no. But he also earlier had said, I couldn't figure out why there wasn't any space when the puck came to me.
Right.
And then, that said, I asked Nathan McKinnon, did you guys know they had 6 guys on the goal? And he goes, yeah, but the rest didn't. But that's okay. He wasn't going to make a deal. And then at the end of the scrum, guys, I'm sorry, it's really too bad because of the way they do this. So John Cooper scrums us, right? No cameras. Bunch of questions. I'm the last one. I just said, okay, Coop. There were 6 Czechs on the ice. Did you talk to the refs about that? And he just looked at me and he grinned and he looked around at the scrum and he kind of made a bit of a face and sighed and he walked off because he knew that there were 6 guys on the ice.
Yeah, not challengeable offense. Not a challengeable offense, so he would have been just screwed. No.
And listen, the refs huddled on the non-high stick call, right? The officials got together. So even if you go and say, "Hey guys, there were 6 guys on the ice."
Yeah, you wonder if they could have done anything about it themselves. Matt and I were just talking, when they see the handshakes at the bench and the scrum after the celebratory scrum, are the refs doing the math at that point?
Well, I think the scrum, the celebration, I think there's a read. I talked to a couple people at the broadcast, and the theory, I think, from down below, in hindsight, because the broadcast didn't realize it in the moment either.
No.
They realized in hindsight that the Czechs threw guys on the ice just because they realized there were already too many guys on the ice. So let's just empty the bench,
flood it,
and flood it so the refs can't figure out what's going on.
Oh my goodness, that's brilliant!
That's brilliant.
Sure. Devious is all hell, but holy cow!
If they did, credit to them. But that's I think a reasonable explanation.
Yeah, in that moment for the coach to have the presence of mind and for the players to empty out that quickly. I mean, it's devious as all hell, but it's
the
brilliant.
Guys on the bench knew, or I don't know
too.
Yeah,
Patrick, what was the conversation about the forward group outside of McDavid and Celebrini? In this one, post game.
I mean, the fact that the goals were scored by those other guys, I think, draws the headlines. I'm sort of in between. The Czechs played really well, and I think Canada played nervous a lot of the night, missing a bit of juice from their game that we've seen. So, you do look at this and say, hey guys, you're going to need to elevate, sit or not, you're all going to have to elevate. And, they were controlling the play, right? And Lucas Dostal did play very, very well. That was not a fake 34 or 33 save effort. He played very well. Canada controlled play very, very well, but the power play struggled without Sid. There were moments where you wanted a little more killer in them. I think Makar was up and down.
Oh, was he ever?
There was long stretches where I kind of missed him. I think honestly, Devon Toews. I mean, I have been so impressed with Devon Toews this whole tournament, and he would get so much more attention for the Norris if he didn't play with Cale Makar. He was a guy that I think was making a difference, but you can see the limitations of Colton Parayko in a game like this. He's against weaker teams, he's been fine moving the puck up the ice, but on this game he was struggled. I have not been impressed with Travis Sanheim's game for the whole tournament. There was just a lot of warts that showed up in the end they got through it, and nothing's going to be easy, right? Like the fact that they dominated the preliminary round as they did, I think probably lulled everyone into a little bit false sense of security. Oh, they're just going to steamroll everybody. But the truth is that this is a great team. I still think this is a great team. And I'm really impressed with almost every player involved. But yeah, there were some real questions to be asked of whether these guys can take it to the next level against whoever it is they're going to play on Friday night.
Yeah, 100% agree. The questions were around Jordan Binnington from the start. I was saying if at 3-2, I was saying, like, what's the criticism going to be? It's going to be about the forward's inability to score. That's a 3-2. Mm-hmm. Binnington lets in 3 goals, but I'm not upset at how he played necessarily. I mean, you can always find a way to make a save, but he wouldn't have been the story.
No.
And then ultimately he is the story in helping them preserve the tie late.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the confidence level with him going into the semi now?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to quibble on a goal, it probably is the first one. There was a defensive breakdown in front, and John Cooper highlighted he's not happy with his defense core. He does not, or defensive group, I should say. Like he thinks there were 2 lacks. Pasternak was fantastic. Nichas was fantastic, but like, you guys are supposed to be among the best defensemen in the NHL, right?
Yep.
Nonetheless, it was the kind of moment where I remember thinking, I think you want a big save there. Right, like I get it. It's a tough one. It's a tough play, but that's the kind of one that you would really benefit. And maybe Lucas Dostal makes that save. You know what I mean? Like
right.
there are guys involved that can figure it out. That said, you're absolutely right. He got better as the game went along. Especially as he got busier. I think that was part of his issue. Is that he and I talked about this after the game against France because he was bored. There was just nothing going on. And he wasn't happy with the second goal. The second goal that he just muffed, right? That basically went through his glove. I asked him, did you lose that on the boards? Because remember, Jeremy Swayman lost the shot against Denmark the night before because of the dark boards. And I asked him, and he says, no, I just misplayed him. Like, I've just got to, he didn't quite say I've got to be better. But essentially, he owned it. And he said, yeah, that's a tough game to get through. I'm not making an excuse, but I've got to be better. And, as the game, the second period was actually not all that busy. Third period is when it mattered. He was actually pretty busy because Canada opened it up. They were trying to make stuff happen. And, he was there.
Okay. Are you going to catch up with Elias after this Sweden-USA game? Or is that at the other rink?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest, guys. It's so late. It's going to be so late. I've been filing stuff for hours. So I'd rather talk to guys. Like I had a lovely chat with Philip Roenick last night. What am I going to talk? Matt, you give me that question to ask me.
No, I know. I'm just... You had a lovely chat with Philip Roenick.
I did. It was 90 seconds. It was actually really useful. Pew Suitor. I'm really sad with Pew Suitor. I know.
And that's verbose for Phil. That's long form,
He
Phil.
smiled and I counted. There were 6 sentences.
Hey, he was awesome. Like the last couple of nights for the Czechs, boy, have they leaned on him as a horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost, he's got a week to recover here before the next Canucks game. But I would hope that Adam
Matt,
Foote maybe backs off the minutes here. Yes.
If I turn my head and I go over here and I look and see that Petey's having a really good game, I will stay here and talk to him.
Oh, you're a prince.
That's kind of but if they lose,
he wants to see your warm, comforting face. Ah, there it is, Vancouver. I'm accustomed to this. Losing and Patrick Johnston in my face.
What are you doing here? Where have you been? I scored 2 goals in the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Where were you for the 2-goal game? He was pretty good in that period. That line was really good.
That's nice. He still only played 10:30 or something.
I know.
Before you go, division of fans was it a full Canadian contingent, or what did it feel like?
No.
This was the biggest. Oh, this was definitely the biggest Canadian crowd.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of people that sort of showed up for the weekend kind of thing.
Right.
And it was, and I've ended up in a sort of a fan WhatsApp chat, and I wrote a story about one of the fans who was trying to propose a "Coop there it is" chant. Not a guy even from Vancouver, no Bruce there, but I've talked to both about it the other day. And he goes, "Oh, that would be fun. I really like Bruce there it is." So Anyway, Coop there didn't hit it off tonight, but there was a conscious awareness among the fans that, like, come on, guys, we got to, like, get stuff going here, because the Swiss and the Czechs and even the French, I don't know if you guys could hear it on Sunday, but the French, there were some allez les bleus in the stands. And listen, this rink is hilarious, and there's lots of stories to be told about it, but it's worked. And it's the fans have been into it, and the fans have done a good job, and it's been hockey has been a real hit here.
Oh, great!
Milan.
That's good. Great. Allez les bleus. How'd that go for you? About as well as it usually goes for France on the battlefield. You'll sleep on the plane home. Okay. Thank you for the efforts. Much appreciated. Look forward to our chat next week here in British Columbia.
Thank you, PJ.
Appreciate it,
I might even be able to come do it in person. So.
It'd be nice. Lovely to see you. Yeah, bring us some trinkets.
All right.
Okay, see you.
Patrick Johnston, columnist for the Province and Postmedia from Milan, covering the games. And just let's wrap up on the games here. It is a gold medal for Canada and Stephen Dubois in the 500-meter short track. Alas, just the one medal, but it is golden.
From what I can glean, Danjanu made a play to climb the ladder. He wanted silver. He was in the bronze medal position, and there was a little stumble or something, and he dropped instead of climbing.
And Rachel Homan is now up 7-4 on Italy late, so it looks like another disaster averted. Is if barring catastrophe from here, she'll win that and still be alive in the women's curling with one round robin left to play. Okay, let's get to the Vancouver Canucks. We talk Canucks on this show each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
Returned to practice yesterday at UBC. They'll go again today and then on the weekend as well. They skated in two groups yesterday, veterans and young players. Adam Foote saying he wanted to maximize puck touches for guys who have been away for a couple of weeks. The great news, Marco Rossi, Brock Besser were full participants. They were on the injured list when the Canucks ended or paused their NHL regular season for the Olympic break. Philip Heel and Yves William also on the ice, alas, in red non-contact jerseys. Let's hear from Coach Foote on how he will approach this next week before their return NHL game on Wednesday against the Jets.
We want to keep going and keep building for, whatever's next. We want to try to win every game and develop these guys. But, this next 6 practices we have here are good for us as far as, we want to see a lot of that touches, a lot of 2-on-1s, a lot of, get the confidence going, and we get some guys back and get better at our specialty teams and, try to win some hockey games here.
I mean, I hear you, Coach, on your special teams, but no Roenick, no Pettersson.
Yeah.
You're missing some guys who do factor in your specialty teams. Okay. I mean, it's
PK.
No NHL
Second unit.
No NHL coach has dealt with this in 12 years, so we'll give him a pause there. As mentioned, Canucks back home against the Winnipeg Jets on Wednesday. So will Philip Hedl be back in the lineup? Of course, he missed the final game before the break. Here's Foote with an update on Hedl's health.
Yeah, he went and saw a specialist and has worked with other players in the league for this type of thing he had. And I think it was really see him moving there. He was moving pretty good. So it's nice to see him on the ice.
Didn't answer the question per se, but
he's still got time on that. So I don't blame him.
Got a week.
Early E's and O's on me. Nikita Tolopilo is going to be left in Abbotsford to play AHL games this week. I mentioned yesterday that they need him for NHL practice, but no, they're choosing to have him play AHL games where he's been awesome of late. Of course, no Kevin Lankinen because he's at the Olympics serving as the third goaltender for Finland. So it was Jiri Patera and Aku Koskenvuo on an emergency call-up basis as your Canucks practice goalies.
Ty Young is
yesterday.
now with the Abbey Canucks as
That's
well.
right. We mentioned that.
Yeah.
Then there's Rossi, of course, an Austrian, so his home country not involved in this Olympic tournament. But he says he's fully healthy for the first time as a Vancouver Canuck since coming over in December in the trade with the Wild for Quinn Hughes. Here's Rossi.
Yeah, it feels really good, It was too long, but I feel really good. My mindset too, after this break, it was good for me to get away a little bit and, just to get back to 100%. And that's how I feel right now for the first time I've been here. So, I feel really good and I'm happy to be back.
He was dinged, remember, at the time of the trade. So I think for Canucks fans that were underwhelmed
and
by...
then got dinged again and had a setback.
Yeah.
So
if you were underwhelmed by the Marco Rossi you saw post Quinn Hughes trade, I think you need to give him some time here. And if he says he's now 100% now, I think the judgment can start a little bit.
Connor Garland was absent yesterday. They're saying illness, but the Canucks in injury reporting, they may have just given Garland an extra day.
Yeah.
It is a larger practice today. They hit the ice at 12:30 at UBC, one group, so a more routine practice. We'll see if his agent, Dan Milstein, has any success. Evander Kane, he's been shopping him, of course. The LA Kings were interested before losing Kevin Fiala to that broken leg at the Olympics, so we'll see if they rekindle there. Tampa Bay and Colorado have also been mentioned as interested parties. Does Evander Kane play another game for the Vancouver Canucks?
I think he does.
Wednesday?
I don't think it's quite to that level yet.
Of course, just 12 days between the end of Sunday's roster freeze, so you could hear Canucks trade news late Sunday night, everybody. 9 p.m. our time, I believe, is when the roster freeze lifts. So as soon as Sunday night, you could hear NHL trading, and our friend John Shannon believes that this is a very busy week here and that general managers are now engaged in trade talks because they want to get going. As soon as the roster freeze lifts,
he thinks deals are maybe getting backlogged and ready to drop as soon as the curtain is raised. So we'll see.
And just as for the Wednesday home game against the Winnipeg Jets, it's the first home game, of course, since the passing of Hall of Fame broadcaster, the voice of the Canucks for so many years, nearly 30, Jim Robson. So I suspect the Canucks will have a commemoration of Jim's long and illustrious life. Lost him at age 91 a year ago Sunday. I had the opportunity yesterday to speak with Greg Douglas. Greg, of course, Dr. Sport from his longtime running Vancouver Sun column, original PR director of the 1970 expansion Vancouver Canucks, and really Jim's closest friend, kind of his keeper in these later years. Greg would often take Jim around town, drive him around town, as he did here in November when Jim joined Tyler Zickel, the voice of the Vancouver Canadians, and myself for a podcast on the 75th anniversary of Nat Bailey Stadium, Nate Capilano Stadium, and the Seas have that in their auspices, and I imagine we'll be putting it out at some point. Greg told me yesterday that he believes that's the last of Jim's ever podcast work on microphone. I know a number of people have been curious about, will there be a public commemoration celebration of life for Jim Robson? And Greg told me yesterday, no. He said this was by Jim's desire, and we've got an interview coming up.
Sounds a lot like Jim.
Yeah, we've got an interview coming up with Trevor Linden that sheds a little bit more light on this. Trevor said, every time he saw him in his later years, or when he was working for the Canucks as president, he'd call him Hall of Famer Jim Robson, and Jim always recoiled, don't call me Hall of Famer. So Jim didn't want any kind of fanfare or anything like that upon his passing. Greg told me this was decided a long time ago in his last will and testament. So no, I don't think there will be any sort of big public event with regards to a celebration of Robson's life. So I think Wednesday at Rogers Arena will be the public part of looking back on a extraordinary life and times when you think of it. The other thing that Greg mentioned to me is that Alan Bailey, the general manager of the Vancouver Canadians, and the Seas are in the process of going through the protocols and the procedures to get a patch on their jersey this year, a JR patch on their jersey in remembrance of Jim Robson. That has to go through the Blue Jays and through minor league or Major League Baseball. But I suspect you will see the Vancouver Canadians open up their season April 7th with a JR patch on the uniform.
Is the broadcast gondola there, the booth there, is that named? I can't remember if it is or not.
I will make a request.
I'm trying to think.
You have been in that press box, Blake. It is not an illustrious.
No, you wouldn't be naming after because you've named a castle after him.
It's a little bit ramshackled, the press box.
But it is
Tyler
so charming.
Zickel does not particularly work in a lavish, large room there in the Nat Bailey press box. It's a little dated. Now, the stadium's going through some marvelous upgrades, and we've talked about them already. That new upstairs deck down the right field first base line that you're going to be able to attend this year and look down on the game. Patio area, that's gorgeous. They've got new facilities coming for the players as well down the right field line. But I don't know if the press box is getting any attention. It probably should.
Honestly,
it's on the roof there.
It would cost, given what they're investing elsewhere, it would cost not a lot to pick that place up, just a smidge.
I remember the first time Rob Fay invited me up there.
Well, it's harrowing to get
and
up
I was
there.
like, oh, this is how you get to it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, now you walk across the roof and, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Little wooden staircase there.
Portal to the
Shifts a
roof.
little. And I got into Rob's booth and I'm like, oh, there's nowhere for me to sit.
But the
it's
fans
a
won't-
one-person booth.
The fans won't know that it looks like that.
Fair,
They'll just
fair.
see a sign.
From the outside,
Yeah.
it just looks like a smaller, older press box.
Yeah.
But yes, it is part of the charm
That's right.
of Nat Bailey Stadium. Let's get to our menu. It's brought to you by our friends at Greta, and we will be there Friday for the semifinal. Now, do we have a time for that game? Have you seen the time? We anticipate that Canada is going to play the early semi because that's how
yeah.
things have gone here.
That seems to be the menu, is the early semi.
But there is no official announcement yet. So
No.
whether it is the 7 a.m. or 7:40 a.m. early semi or whether it is the later semi, there will be a presence there from the Nation Network and all the shows that emanate here from Vancouver. Come on down and join us, watch some hockey, celebrate, hopefully get a victory for the red and white. And, of course, if you're planning a group gathering, whether that's a office party, team party, family reunion, whatever the case, Greta, fantastic spot with the awesome menu of street food. Try the poutine and, of course, the arcade that encircles the bar, private riser at the back. For more info to book your event, go to gretabar.com, Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. Former Canucks captain, president of hockey operations, and former Canadian Olympian Trevor Linden is going to join us here. Talk a little bit about the game. He goes way back with the Celebrini family. We'll talk to Trev about that, as well as Bo Horvat, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, and yes, memories of Jim Robson with Trevor. And then Frank Corrado will join us, X and O's breakdown of how Canada nearly lost today to the Czech Republic, Czechia, at the men's Olympic tournament. I've probably made that mistake 4 or 5 times, and we'll make it 4 or 5 more times at the next international hockey tournament. I'm sorry, Czechia. Old habits.
We've got extra ends.
Oh, wow.
You're
Big comeback.
kidding me.
Wow.
You're frigging kidding me. How did she blow that, Mike?
And is it a berth in the semis on the line here?
No, she just needs to win to stay alive.
Wow.
If
So
she
there's-
loses this, that's that for Rachel.
There's 8 teams that can still make it out of the 10.
Holy
Yeah.
cats.
But presumably she has the hammer in the 11th because she gave
Yeah,
up
she
3.
just must
Okay.
have, yeah.
All right. This is the best hurler in the world who is spitting the bit at the Olympics, and she spit the bit the first time she was in the
Well,
Olympics.
she was on a
too.
winning streak, but needs to get this one.
Later in the program, we will go over Vancouver Whitecaps FC begin tonight down in Costa Rica. Some ominous words from the soccer Don, what you missed this morning for Canada at the Olympics. And the Seahawks are busy bringing players back and bringing new coaches into the fold. All of that's coming up on the program today. Okay, time now for our Bet365 Bets of the Day, Blake. And finally got a win yesterday. Had been in quite a slump. But Slovakia beat the Germans this morning, so we're riding that on a narrow victory. Narrow on the betting line.
I had
that is, was
McDavid
not
as the
narrow.
opening goal, if you remember, and he had 2
He
good
did.
chances
He did.
early and then had to settle for the assist on the Celebrini opener.
Yep. Women's hockey gold medal game tomorrow. And, folks, we will not have a program tomorrow. We are handing over the Nation Network studio here to Irf Gaffar and a live stream of the women's gold medal game. So we'll be back to talk to you Friday after the semifinal, whenever that may be for Canada. So Irf Gaffar tomorrow with a live stream of the women's gold medal game. And look, I went to the menu here thinking I'd take the United States by multiple goals. The U.S. to win by 2 is minus.
Yeah. Not a lot of
Canada
value.
is plus 375, and just on principle, I'm going Canada because no Canadian ice hockey team should ever be a plus 375 underdog anywhere, anytime, any place. Canada to pull the upset.
If I was forced to make an American bet, I would bet that Abby Murphy stirs the pot and gets involved in an anytime goal scorer at plus 200. But
she's like the Abby from soccer, Wambach.
Yeah.
She's such a disturber.
But I'm not going to suggest that plus 200 on Abby Murphy. No. If Canada gets a goal, and you would be forgiven if that is a question in your mind.
Yeah, trouble scoring.
But it'll be El Capitaine, Marie-Philippe Poulin, anytime goal scorer. Get this. This may be the last time you see this number. First and last, plus 375 on the most decorated Canadian goal scorer at the Olympics of all time. But that's the state of Canadian women's hockey right now, plus 375 on a Poulin goal.
We just keep missing shots at the curling. It's unbelievable. That's
It's a stressful day, folks.
And I love how you watch a little bit of Olympics and then you become an expert, right?
Yes.
That's an easy takeout of 2. And we just flat missed it. This segment, a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Trevor Linden, next. So here's some price from the historic Wall Center.
This segment brought to you by the fine folks at Pizza, who have a new way to tantalize your taste buds. New at Pizza, the Volcano Dipper. Pull, rip, and dip your slice into the molten volcano-shaped center filled with the famous creamy garlic sauce. You don't need to get a little bin of dip. It's built in.
Any spouting?
I guess it depends on how hot you make it. It's the perfect app for creamy garlic lovers. Check it out right now at Pizza.
Well, if there's anyone who knows about close calls versus the Czech Republic at a Winter Games, it's our next guest, former Canucks captain and executive, and of course, Canadian Olympian from the 98 games in Nagano. It's our pleasure to welcome Trevor Linden back to the program.
I think you peeled the scab off.
I didn't mean
You
that
peeled the
as a
scab.
low blow.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah. And current PTSD sufferer after
Yeah.
that. Holy cow. Yeah. Wow.
Well, we thought of you after the Suzuki goal, too, because it's one thing to tie it against the Czechs, but you got to beat the Czechs as well. So we were a little bit afraid that the script was repeating itself here, Trevor.
Yeah, wasn't that just classic? I mean, that's already getting close to 30 years ago, guys. So, there's not a lot of youngsters out there who wouldn't even remember that. But, that's what's great about best on best and these one game playoffs. I mean, in a 7-game series, I think, the Canadians would win all day long, but, one game and these smaller countries, good players band together, you know what I mean? David versus Goliath and good goaltender, hot performance, shades of Hasek in 98. So many similarities and it's a tough spot for Canada to be in. I mean, you're favored and what was amazing too, quarterfinals, Sidney Crosby gets hurt. Quarterfinals in 98, Joe Sakic gets hurt. Although that was against Kazakhstan and then we lost to the Czechs in a shootout. So
Thomas Harley said after this game, I've been in game 7 overtime. He said, I was more nervous today. These are guys that have been there and done that. Do you remember the level of nerves that you were feeling late in that game versus the Czechs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll never forget that. Back then there was no shootouts in the NHL. So, I mean, the overtime was, we dominated play, had the chances after chance. Hasek was incredible. But then going to that shootout, guys were like looking around like, what is this? Like, because that was so foreign to us. The Europeans had way more experience than that in world championships, kind of grew up on that shootout determining big games. We didn't have shootouts in the NHL at that time. So it was totally like, this is crazy. I mean, we're gonna determine this game with a shootout. And so obviously that didn't go well. But what surprised me today, guys, is I did not know they go right to 3-on-3. That is amazing. That would have been stressful for the guys, because you think about, National Hockey League players used to going into the playoffs. I mean, they go into overtime. It's 5-on-5, but 3-on-3, they're used to being pretty loose regular season game. It's you got to play tomorrow night or whatever. It's like, we'll just go for it, right? This is a whole different story. That was some drama.
Even for gold, too. Even for gold.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Trevor, when you're surrounded by that level of player in a close game that's ticking down like that, what's the mood on the bench? Like, are guys angry? Are they worried? Are they still confident? Like, what's
Quiet?
the mood on a bench with that level of player when you're losing in the late stages of a third period knockout game?
I think, honestly, guys, it's just the guys are focused. I mean, they've all been there. They've all been in those spots. And I think that they are just dialed. You're laser focused. You're not thinking about, holy, what, this is big. You're thinking about, you're right here. And that's why those type of players are there. Clutch performers, the best of the best. And so, give them credit. They dug down and found a way. And, I think the moment is so big and they're so used to being just laser focused that the minute you get outside of that, you're going to have trouble.
What are the dynamics of a room like that, Trev? Like, it's the best players in the world. It's the best players on their club team. It's guys who know they're going to the Hall of Fame. There's guys with collections of Stanley Cup rings and league trophies and things like that. How different is it walking into a room like that than it is walking into an NHL room?
Yeah, it is different. And I think because you're taking a collection of guys that are, power play, they're hopping over the boards like automatically. They're not waiting for the coach they're over the boards. And so that's not the case now. And so what I found amazing in 98 was, and I saw this in the World Cup in 96 as well, is just take a guy like Stevie Yzerman, for example. I mean, he was a guy that first time I met Stevie Yzerman was at the 91 All-Star game in Chicago. He'd been there before as a kid, first time at the All-Star game, came up to me and just said, hey, welcome. And if you need anything, let me know. And super, it was good to me. And anyways, but Yzerman in those situations was basically like, what do you need me to do? Like, I'll check the other team's top center. I'll kill penalties. Like, I want to win. You know what I mean? And so, but that type of mentality is the Canadian mentality. And I think that you've seen that over the years. And that's what makes these teams so special, is that they all understand that you do what it takes, to get it done. And I think that's what's interesting about this team. But it's not easy, as we saw today.
Yeah. When you were with the Canucks, you brought Rick Celebrini into the fold. I know you and Rick go way back. Do you remember your earliest memories of young Macklin?
Yeah, I mean, he was. Rick is such a humble, hardworking, awesome guy. I've known Rick for 30 years. Back when he was just playing soccer with the Whitecaps, and I think I was talking with TC today about Macklin, and just the fact that Macklin is so down to earth and so hardworking, and TC was telling a story this year to me this morning about Macklin at the North Shore Winter Club. Comes in, says hi, having lunch in the cafeteria, doing his work in the morning, no special treatment, never asked for anything, and just that's the Celebrini way. That's Rick, and Rick never liked to talk about the boys. I'd always push him. How's Mac doing? How's Aiden doing? And like he would always underplay how good they were, and but what a special story. I mean, to see Macklin do what he did during the regular season and then take it to the next level here in the Olympics and putting himself on a different level for sure. But I would say that what makes Macklin special is that his parents, brought him up right, and they've worked hard at, the grounding, humble part of things. And I think he lives those values.
We've seen the young player come in with poise before. You were certainly maybe one of the early incarnations of the guys that were, teenagers, but acted like they'd been there before. Bo was one of those guys too, but Sidney Crosby comes to mind when you look at Macklin, except he's also not too serious. Like he's not Jonathan Taves, I don't think. He can have some fun, and it's tough to find that balance when you've grown up at the elite level, always coronated as the top of your age group and even the age group above yourself, but he's still having fun. He's not taking it too seriously.
Yeah, and I think you see that a little bit. Like I think about Connor McDavid, who's amazing, but he's serious. Like he's they're so put in a box, and I think a lot of that comes from just they've had to be that way for so long, and so it's good to see just a different side of guys. You know what I mean? A little bit lighter in spots, and I think he recognizes that obviously he's not taking himself too seriously. He's a kid, but he loves the game and is an incredible player. So it's refreshing to see for sure. Because I think the one criticism of hockey players would be that they're a little too straight and narrow, maybe not having enough fun at times. So it's fun to see.
You mentioned Aiden, by the way.
He always had fun. This guy was fun.
He was a serious young player.
Did you have to stifle personality? Did you have to be like, oh, okay, I can't be too expressive or too personable or anything because that's not the hockey way?
Well, every Christmas I'm reminded because that sports page where I walk around the room and interview the guys.
Yeah.
I interviewed Nick
That's
and
true.
Gino and Pavel.
Yeah.
Like, you guys that happening today? Like, I'm just like, holy smokes! So
that's a good example.
Let's get the team captain to be our correspondent in the room.
Yeah, you had tipped to Aiden and Macklin. We should give RJ his credit. Young RJ, 137 points in 52 games for the North Shore Winter Club.
And their sister Charlie's a terrific tennis player as well.
Yeah.
So
they're
doing okay there. Rick and Robin they have some
okay.
athletes. You watch Bo Horvat grow up as an NHL player under your watchful eye. A word or two about Bo making this team, Trev.
Yeah, I mean, I give Bo is just he continues to take the next step. You know what I mean? And he put himself in the position to make the team, and he deserves all the credit there. And he's having a great year. I mean, he's. I think the one thing that you could never forecast, certainly when he was drafted, Bo was that all around dependable kind of guy, but his ability to score his shot is incredible. He's got that quick release, and that's really allowed him to to get to the net and to score. But I couldn't be happier for him. He's a great kid and a great guy, and he's put himself in a great opportunity.
As people are maybe watching this live,
great kid, but he's 30 now.
I know he's still a kid to us.
We can't believe it.
As people are watching this live, at the very least, Trevor, Sweden is underway. Elias Pettersson trying to add to what has been a tournament with some moments for himself. Maybe some of the better moments of his season, I would say. Playing with a higher group than, of course, the Canucks are currently boasting. Is that player still in there, do you think? What's the future hold for Elias Pettersson?
It's been you think about a few years back when you just saw this sky's the limit type runway for Elias, and I think that my where I really struggled was in the playoffs when they played Nashville and in Edmonton, and just the performance was, you can struggle with your play, but in a playoff type scenario, you got to put yourself in the fight, right, and just be in the battle, and you just didn't see that with Elias. So it was concerning for sure. And he's been in and out and up and down since, which is, and it's, the skills are there. I think it's a between the years type of situation. So you never know a situation like this where if they can have a positive experience and, change his scenery, change his outlook on things. And maybe that's a catalyst to get him going in a different direction. But certainly, I said before the year, for the Canucks to have a good year, they're going to have to, their top players are going to have to be their top players, one of which is no longer on the team anymore. But and they're going to get great goaltending. And I don't think they've got any of that. And so that's where they are and why they are. So they haven't been able to stay healthy. And Elias he's been okay, maybe, but that's not good enough.
Since you bring up Quinn, did you ever get the impression that the Hughes brothers were going to want to play together, Trev? Like, was that ever in the back of your mind after you guys selected him, knowing he had a couple other brothers coming and that maybe there'd be a push for all of them to play together?
Yeah, interestingly enough, no, and you don't really, he was the first one. So, and then I think the thing that the difference maker was when they both, the two younger ones wound up on the same team. And so, and it'll be really interesting to see what Billy Guerin does here and what happens there in Minnesota. I mean, because, after, I'm sure that, Patrick and Jim, once they knew that he wasn't going to want to be there or didn't want to sign there, they did the best thing they could. And I think they did the right thing. Having said that, I mean, for Minnesota, you take on a player for a year and a half. That's all. I mean, he could be gone to New Jersey in a year and a half. So, but I get it. I understand it. I mean, that opportunity is pretty special to play with your brothers. And, I think that New Jersey's could have a very competitive team, and it's a big market. And so that's sometimes the dynamics that play into things. And, as an organization, you don't have much, you don't have a choice in the matter. That's just the way the chips fall.
Yeah. Lastly here, we were talking on Monday, or last week, I guess. There are a few bigger figures in Canucks history, in Canucks world, than Jim Robson, who we lost a week ago Sunday at age 91. A word or two about your interactions with him over the years, because needless to say, he was kind of the soundtrack for your career, or at least your playoffs in 94.
Yeah, he was, I mean, I go back to the 70s and being a kid in Medicine Hat, we didn't have the Oilers, we didn't have the Flames, and my conduit to the National Hockey League was Jim Robson on Saturday nights. That's what I grew up on. And so when I met Jim in 88, it was a pretty big thing for me. It was, and Jim was the most humble, respectful guy you could imagine. Mark Crawford told a story where, when they used to go, ride the bus to and from the airport and stuff like that, Jim would always be the last one off the bus. He'd let all the players go, and he respected the fourth line right winger as much as he respected the captain of the team, and that was Jim Robson. And for me, it was just an honor. People talk about the call, he will play, and to be part of that is an honor for me, because Jim was such a icon for Canuck fans. I mean, and think about back in the day. I mean, there were no games on TV. There was only one a week, and so Jim brought people to games, on the radio, and so he brought the games to life for people, and so that connection is so strong with older people who remember Jim, and I think the other thing that besides being the most humble man you'd meet, he loved to tell stories. He was a great storyteller, and I always tell him that, like, we'd be at a golf tournament or an alumni event or some Canuck event, and he'd get into a story about, Harold Snepps back in 1970. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was magic. And he could tell stories, and as you said, he was the soundtrack for all things Canucks for so long. So a wonderful guy. And the other thing for me personally about Jim is that, especially later in my career, I realized that Jim was always down the middle as far as he didn't want to be the homer. He was always down the middle, but he was really supportive of me. He was on my, and even when I worked for the team, he'd always come up and, give me a pat on the back and, hang in there, Trev. And we'd want to talk about the players. He loved the game. So, I really, as I got older, Jim and I really had a great relationship. And he hated anytime I saw him, I'd be, there he is, Hall of Famer Jim Robson, and he hated that. He said, "Don't, no, I don't want the attention. I don't want any extra attention. Don't do that to me." And I made sure I got the words Hall of Famer in there when I'd see Jim.
Can we borrow that call for Sidney Crosby in the semifinal and final? Because we'd like him to play on crutches if possible.
Like to play.
Yeah, no kidding. What do we think that is, guys? What are they saying?
Well, I don't know. It's the 2 hits there from Gudas, and that's a big boy hitting him.
Knee,
so it looked like a knee, but gosh, let's hope he
not
can
his
go.
head. You know what's interesting? We forget Sidney Crosby's career was like in jeopardy. With concussion, and we haven't heard anything of it. And what's amazing about this guy is he's 38 years old. This guy can play. He'll play till he could play till he's 45 years old.
If he wants, he's got a few years.
Unbelievable.
For sure.
When you look at him, he's still hanging there with league scoring leaders all these years later.
It's incredible. And the difference, here's the difference, guys, I think is interesting. He doesn't, it doesn't sound strange, but he doesn't have kids. You know what I mean? Like the thing that guys like Anze Kopitar in LA, he's leaving the game, could still play because he doesn't want to miss any more birthdays or any more Halloweens or Christmas. Like he wants to do that.
Good
Sid
point.
doesn't have that. So he'd be like, damn, I'm just going to play. He could be Gordie Howe. So, because he's built, he's such a great skater. He's so strong. I mean, I've got to know Sid over the years, and he makes you be proud to be a Canadian when you see that guy.
Yeah.
So.
Indeed. Well put, sir.
You as well.
Still a good interview. Yeah. Still captain. And a Canadian Olympian, Trevor Linden. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Trev.
Good to be with you guys. Thanks, guys.
Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center. This next segment brought to you by Levelwear. Golf having a moment right now, and not just the traditional sense. Used to feel buttoned up. It's become way more cultural. You're seeing athletes from all sorts of sports, even surfers, using it as a way to hang out and just enjoy the game differently. And that shift is exactly where Hurley's collaboration with Levelwear comes in. Hurley brings that laid-back board sports energy. And this new collection pulls from Hawaiian and coastal prints, relaxed, expressive, rooted in lifestyle. Levelwear taking that inspiration and brings it to life through performance-driven, sustainably made apparel, actually built to move and play. The result is the Fairwaves collection, modern golf silhouettes that feel lighter, more wearable, less rigid. It's respectful of the game's roots, but definitely not stuck in tradition. This collection is live right now, available on Levelwear's website. Go to levelwear.com. Check out the polos, hoodies, hats, and casuals. That's levelwear.com.
It dries out really quickly if you're playing golf in hot weather or watching nerve-wracking hockey games.
What were you telling me?
I would keep your distance from me right now. I think I blazed through my deodorant.
Boy, it smells like an Oshawa Generals game broke out in here.
Yeah.
I'll remind
Sorry
you
about
to
that.
bathe, sir, before you attend this studio. Here's Frank Corrado, former Vancouver Canuck.
He's at a safe distance.
TSN hockey analyst who took in the proceedings from Italy this morning. How are the nerves?
Okay. Not, they made it interesting, man. Holy moly. I wasn't expecting that. Like, even if it was a close game, I wasn't expecting it to be like razor edge kind of moments, but wow, that was something.
Needing miracles and heroes to tie and then to win. Okay, you're our best X's and O's guys, Frank. Tell me how the single greatest collection of players maybe we've ever put together could look like that for 60 minutes against the Czechs.
My first takeaway from it is that there was no forecheck. Canada wanted to create off the rush, and which is what they've been doing a lot in this tournament. They would parlay rush play into ozone play, but they weren't necessarily like dumping it and going to get it, and they weren't playing bully ball. Let's put it that way. And Czechia basically said, and I give the Czechs credit, they played to their game plan really well. That was a brilliant game by the Czechs, and they easily could have won it. But what they did is they stacked like 4 players in the neutral zone, while at the same time they didn't just sit back. Like, they sat back for moments in that game, but it also felt like they were going to get Canada a little bit too. But they took away the rush play. And Canada didn't realize for quite a while that it wasn't available to them. Made a few mistakes. The Mark Stone pass right across goes the other way for a goal. And then once they realized, it's like, this is meat and potatoes hockey. You got to chip it. You got to dump it. You got to go get it. And you got to get it back the hard way. Once they realized that, then they started playing in the offensive zone. And I think that's a good lesson for them moving forward. It's like, you're going to have to recognize that a little sooner, depending on whoever you play next, because that'll be the first thing the other team's thinking of. We have to slow down 17 and 97 and 29, and let's make them do it the way that they don't want to do it, which is dump it in and go get it.
There's a template there all of a sudden now that Canada didn't necessarily want to give away, but the Czechs just unearthed it a little bit. They were great in the second period, though, Frank. Why couldn't they come up with the goal when they're out shooting them, whatever it was, 17-5 there in the second?
That's the goalie. Like, that Dostal was really good. And that's back-to-back games of days for him. He was sharp, man. Like, he was in the zone. So that's my, in that second period, why couldn't they get anything going? Sometimes you just can't beat the goalie. Now, with that being said, for a goalie to play at that level for 60 minutes after doing it yesterday, very difficult thing to do. And eventually, Canada breaks through. They chipped away at it. But the other thing, like, it felt like even before Crosby got hurt and he went out, there was a large portion of that game where there were 2 guys going.
Yeah,
one was number 17. One was number 97. You couldn't even say that they were a one-line team for 35 minutes of that game because they were 2/3 of a line. It just goes to show you how good those 2 guys are, by the way, but it goes to show you that there's way more. Canada has way more to offer than what they offered in this game against the Czechs. And, like, Nick Suzuki scores a goal. Mitch Marner scores a big goal. Like, that's what is supposed to make this team so incredibly dangerous, is that if the big boys aren't, there's other guys who are big boys for their own teams who can find a way to produce. And eventually that's what happened. But man, they had us sweating through our underpants. That's for sure.
Took 57 minutes for the depth to arrive, right?
Your boy Binnington, you grew up playing minor hockey with him. A word or two on his performance today, Frank.
I'll just point you to my Twitter account where I tweeted out the GIF of Brady and Gronk after winning a Super Bowl. And what's that song that's playing? Dun, 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 dun. Like, just doing the smiling at the camera. I feel like that's what Jordan Binnington's walking around doing right now. Like, he was so heavily scrutinized. And listen, not that it wasn't justified based on the statistics and the way things had gone in St. Louis this year. But for me, he's the player of the game in that game. Like, he makes the save on Natchez late. He made a number of big saves on, like, there's one on Gudis. There's some, like, grade A chances that if he doesn't make those saves, it's over, man. And he was as killer instinct Jordan Binnington-y as he could ever be. So good for him for doing that. And it should at least quiet any kind of murmurs around, is he able to do it? Should someone else go in net? Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's Binnington's net and he's in the zone.
The non-call on the Czech goal. Can you imagine, Frank, if that ends the Canadian, like, the IOC may have sidestepped a massive scandal here in their marquee event. And let's make no mistake, the men's hockey tournament is the marquee event at the entire Winter Olympic Games. And they nearly had the kingpin, the Canadians, knocked out while the other team was allowed to have another player on the ice for the entirety of the defensive and offensive sequence. There's 6 guys in the celebratory scrum, Frank.
I guess the crazy thing is, like, we didn't realize it in the moment. Like it took a little while to actually realize that. But yeah, that would have been you question the integrity, right? At that point when that type of thing happens. But holy smokes, man, for Canada, if Canada loses that game, we're doing, what's wrong with Canadian Hockey Summit? Why do we keep losing to the Czechs at now the Olympic level?
No, we're doing. Why do we lose
level?
to 6 players? That's the Royal Commission here.
This is the crazy thing, Matt. Every Canadian fan base who thinks the referees are out to get them. So that's Toronto, that's Montreal, that's Vancouver, that's Edmonton, so on and so forth. The referees are out to get all Canadian cities, all 7 of them. They're now collectively at the Olympic level out to get Canada, and what a disaster.
The officials, guys, if there are 2 countries that you don't want reffing this game, probably Sweden and the States, and the referees are Swedish and American in this game as well.
Yeah.
Don't love that either. Like, can we not have a Finnish and a Slovakian ref for these ones? Like, come on.
But that's where, like, if you're a player on the bench and you like notice that there's 6 guys, or if you're a coach on the Canadian bench, you have to make a big scene. Like
100%.
you can almost get a call. You can manufacture something through the bench. Like, that's where I don't know what you got to do. But you got to do something to get everyone's attention, because those guys would be able to see it. Like, they're right there as it happens. But I don't know. Like, it didn't seem like they were causing a big deal about it in real time.
I mean, John Cooper basically needs to get off the bench and jump onto the ice at that point.
And it would be justified.
That's the sort of scene that would have been required to stop this.
Yeah.
It's not challengeable. We've covered that already as well. Like, they would have been absolutely
nutted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest Olympic officiating travesties, a 72 Olympic gold medal basketball game where the Soviet Union got a second attempt at the final play and beat the United States. They're still sore about that at USA basketball. Okay, so I just want to get back to we had 2/3 of a line going. So is it as simple as dump and chase and bully ball as you were talking about for the support forwards from here on out, Frank, or is there something more they can do to be a part of the offensive attack here?
It's more recognize what's available to you. Is it possession? Great. Have possession. Is it pursuit of the puck? Then you have to live to fight another day, and you have to put it somewhere and go pursue it. Like, that's really what it boils down to. It's not you have to be this. You're not going to take players that are highly skilled and try and dumb them down. But with that being said, like, if we had spoken before the game and you asked me, and you said Czechia is going to win today, why would that have happened? And I would have told you it would be some costly turnovers from Canada. It would be some quick transition strikes the other way to some of the skilled players for the Czechs, and Canada would have some spotty goaltending. Like, that's how it would have happened. And maybe the power play filtered in. Like, Canada fed into that a little bit with some of the puck decisions and the puck play early in the game. And even, throughout the course of the game. It wasn't just early. It didn't necessarily go away fully. So I think it's just having it, like, being mindful of, like, what's the smart decision here? Like, if you're on this Team Canada, at some point, there will be an opportunity that arises to push some kind of envelope offensively. It doesn't need to happen every single shift. It does need to happen, right? You can't just kind of sit back and say, we'll wait. No, you do need to go at some point, but realizing that you can set up the next line for success by not doing something that turns the puck over and keeping things alive and not wasting a puck. So that's where I think it comes into play, Matt. It's not, I'm not saying you got to go just forecheck like crazy, but you do need to realize when the time is right.
Okay, final question from me here is that, we got the scare out of the way, and now we're back on track, and this should be the gold medal. Or does this give you pause for the semi or the final?
I think this is good for Canada because they realized how close it actually is. They've realized, like, it can go south on us if we are not on our toes and we're not sharp mentally. So this should be seen as, hey, it was close. It was razor thin, the margins today. But they will be better off for it, having gone through something like this and realizing that, okay, this is not Czechia in game one. This is not France. This is not Switzerland anymore. Like this is for real now, and it's all the best of the best, and all it can take is, one play, one mistake that goes awry, and your tournament's essentially over. Your pursuit of the gold medal is over. So I think this was a good thing to happen to Canada. You hate that it, was as close as it was, and you hate that you lost Sidney Crosby in the process. Like the most, that's what you hate the most out of this game. But as far as facing some adversity and overcoming and learning something about your team, that is good. Like this is the game that they've learned the most about who they are.
Do some of these players just not have the ability to keep up at this pace of game? Like where?
Oh, come on, please, no.
Where is Sam Reinhart? Where is Brad Marchand? Where is Tom Wilson?
NHL players and all-stars. Don't tell me they can't keep up with the pace of Czech professionals in a European league.
No, not Czech, with their own teammates is the point. Like where are these guys? Like Sam Reinhart is an elite goal scorer in the NHL. Where is he?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that they can't keep up with the pace of this. I just thought with the Czechs, they were so urgent. Like they were so desperate to get on everything and to be on top of Canada. I think that's what it was more than, the Canadian guys don't have the pace to play at this level. Like you watch Tom Wilson play for Washington, he flies around the ice. Like Reinhart, he gets around. Like he knows how to be in the right spots at the right times. I just think that's one where you just got to tip your hat to Czechia and say those guys played like it was the last hockey game they were ever going to play. And that's why it looked like they were really urgent and on top of it. And I'll say this, like as far as the Czechs playing to their, ceiling and Canada playing to their ceiling, the Czechs is full. Yeah. Canada's probably 70% full.
Guys like Lukas Shedlak and Matej Stransky who don't even play in the NHL.
And Roman Cervenka, come on.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about Westman Sam Reinhart, I mean, they practiced with him all the way up to the first game up lineup, and then suddenly he's playing right wing on the fourth line. And his NHL rival is coaching this team.
Well, you know what I'm reminded of in games like this when there's a bunch of non-NHLers is that there's guys outside the NHL that given in the right timing, the right opportunity, they could have been NHL players.
Yeah, for one night.
NHL GMs are not the authority on who's good and who's not in the world of hockey. So, sometimes it takes some luck or a bounce or, but there's some good players out there.
Yep. Marvelous stuff. Frank, thank you for this. Enjoy the semi and hopefully the gold medal game after this one.
Enjoy, boys. We'll see you.
Some price from the historic Wall Center in the Nation Network studio built by Arbor Lee. You okay there?
Yeah. Earpiece popped up.
All right. Game night turns into game weekend here at the Wall Center. From puck drop to last call, everything you need is right outside your door. Stay where the fans stay. wallcenter.com. And staying here today, listener Devin and his bride Linnea, they're getting married here at the Wall Center today. They saw us here in the studio watching the game, shouted out, it's still 2-1. Yeah, it was still 2-1 at the time. So anyways, best to Devin and Linnea on their nuptials. And thanks for stopping by, saying hello. Lower lobby level of the North Tower here at the Wall Center. Vancouver Whitecaps FC begin tonight in Costa Rica versus CS Cartagenas, leg 1 of the CONCACAF Champions Cup tournament. Leg 2 goes next Wednesday here at BC Place, so 2 chances to catch Thomas Muller and his mates this week at BC's Place with Saturday's MLS regular season opener versus RSL. Mike's got the draw up here. I wanted to get to the draw. If Vancouver were to advance out of this tie, it would face Cascadia rival Seattle in the next round.
Leagues Cup champions get the fast track. I think it's ridiculous that you make it to the Champions Cup and you don't get one of the fast track spots, by the way.
Well, and beyond that, a potential quarterfinal against either Mexico's Tigres or FC Cincinnati from MLS. So that is not exactly an easy route to the semis.
Forge just held Tigres to...
Oh, is Tigres that bad?
They just held Tigres to 0-0 in Hamilton, for heaven's sakes. Can't be scared of Tigres.
It was awfully cold, though. We don't have the cold weather advantage unless we
Pump the AC at BC Place.
And club reporter Sarita Patel caught up with our old friend Kendall Waston, former Vancouver Whitecaps captain. He's a Costa Rican, of course, a World Cupper, a goal scorer at the World Cup. You remember that? There he is having fun. Big man, still a big man.
Looks like he could be a rush.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
for
absolutely.
the Seahawks.
Absolutely. Guy walked into a room and screamed athlete. Like it screamed, you know what? I think he could play a whole lot of sports at his size. But you remember how good he was in the air, how high he could get on those crosses?
Created a lot of room for himself, too.
Balls out of the box or scoring them on the other end. Anyways, always loved Waston's joy. Sometimes crossed the line. You remember Kendall. But always loved his enthusiasm. Didn't love this. MLS Commissioner Don Garber did a Q&A with Sports Business Journal. He was asked about the Caps being up for sale for some time, as the interviewer put it. Now, he repeated the same old about BC Place, what we'll get to. But there was an interesting and ominous comment with regards to our market. Quote, "The team has done everything they can to invest in a club fans can be proud of, and I'm not quite sure we've been seeing the same level of public support for the club that exists for other teams in the market and other MLS clubs." And then he continued, "I'm not quite sure we've been seeing the same level of public support for the club that exists for other teams in the market and other MLS clubs." Is he jealous of the Canucks and Lions here in town? Is he looking at the Lions' average attendance and not understanding that it's underpinned by that massive opening game concert crowd?
I would want the follow-up question of
what do you mean?
What do you mean by that? Because I'm
not
sure.
Not as supported as other MLS clubs. They were 13th in regular season MLS attendance, so top half. Averaging 21,806 fans per game.
I think that includes the CONCACAF
It does not.
game.
No, that's just the
MLS.
17 MLS regular season home games, Blake.
Yeah.
They did two of the best crowds in MLS last year.
Yeah.
The CONCACAF home game against Inter Miami, and then, of course, the playoff match against LAFC.
And again, I'll say the reporting for the World Cup ticket selling is that the Canadian markets are doing better on a ratio basis than the American markets.
Soccer, not America first. It's the world's game. They're looking very inward these days, our friends to the south.
This is a hardy soccer market. The MLS should not want to get out of here.
So does this explain why the Whitecaps released those rosy season ticket numbers last week? Or are they trying to message even to their own commissioner that, hey, no, support in this market is damned. This is one of the best commercial soccer markets amongst the two, Canada and the United States, period.
It's got built-in history, too.
Yeah, like for 50 years, it's been a well-supported soccer market. I don't know, Blake. I read something like that, and I wonder if the Soccer Don is setting up a pretext here for relocation by questioning the support for soccer in this market. It's ridiculous. He also, on BC Place, said, quote, "As it relates to Vancouver, there remains a really large gap between what the club deserves in the current scheduling and economic dynamic that we have at BC Place. It's untenable, as I've said before, for a major league club to not be able to play home games in their market for what could be several dates this year." Okay, fair enough. I did catch the BC budget, though, out of Victoria yesterday, and all this slashing of the public service sector. I wonder if
the jobs loss.
I wonder if that includes PAVCO going forward here. Like, again, somebody needs to explain to me why PAVCO is necessary, why we need an extra quasi-governmental body between the provincial government, who owns the stadium and the land, and customers. Because Garber has said if they want us to run the stadium, we'd happily run the stadium. Stadium operations is good business. Like, why don't you just farm that out to professionals who understand and make it their daily business around the world to run stadiums and arenas, and then just have them report to somebody in a ministry? I don't get why you need this whole extra level of people and employees.
Yeah. That would be one way to get rid of a lot of
fats.
Cost
to
the public.
Canada, day 12 at Milan while you were sleeping. Mark McMorris misses in the snowboard slopestyle. Wasn't able to compete in the big air, of course, because that head injury. Went for it in his final run today. Needed a big score. Couldn't get it done. He's now 32 with 3 Olympic bronze medals over 4 games. Maybe one more for Canada's legendary snowboarder. We'll see.
I doubt it.
Utter heartbreak for Marianne Thénault in the freestyle skiing aerials. She's in first place after the first run. She has a poor landing in the next attempt, falls to 7th, and that's 1 spot away from qualifying for the medal round. They take the top 6. Second straight Olympics for Thénault, where she's 7th and misses on competing for a medal. She's got the team aerials left. Laurie Blouin, 5th in the snowboard slopestyle, had a miscue on the first rail, as did many athletes throughout the games. The rails, particularly that first rail on slopestyle, was slicker than usual. The snow was heavy. Competitors couldn't build up speed. For all the hand-wringing about the hockey venue, it was the slopestyle venue that truly sucked and disappointed both athletes and fans alike.
And there's just too many close results for Canadian Olympians.
Yep.
And you can say, oh, we're right there, but
no.
Ultimately the inability to get to the podium, the program was on the podium. And was not, own the spots just below the podium.
We made the conscious decision at the turn of this century. We were done with people getting off the mountain, getting out of the pool, and talking about personal bests and how great it is to finish 6th.
Yeah.
We made the conscious decision we have to be more a nation of winners and deliver results, podium results, things that matter, things that count. And, this sort of reminds, Blake, of when you and I were growing up. Olympic Games to the 80s and 90s when Canada wasn't all that successful.
But
when you could pretty much name every single athlete who got a medal because there were so few of them.
But we're also just ignoring our strengths, like no skiing, no aerials, no long,
no sliding,
a little bit of long
no
track,
figure
but not
skating.
like this. We used to have success in these categories.
Yeah,
it's disappointing.
Yeah, I'm just looking freestyle skiing. I'm just looking at how many medals here. Silver so Kingsbury with the 2, gold and silver, and then Oldham with the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Still have 2 British Columbians here, Cassie Sharp in the women's halfpipe and Marielle Thompson in the women's ski cross, as well as Chilliwack's Reese Howden, who is the gold medal favorite in the men's ski cross, and the mixed team aerials that I mentioned. So still a possibility to do better in the freestyle skiing. Of course, tons of short track medals that are still out there. Snowboarding, it's Grandin with the silver, and that's it out of snowboarding, Blake. Just the 1 medal out of snowboarding. Brad Jacobs destroys Italy, can finish no worse than 2nd, so he's into the semis of the men's curling and will curl for a medal. It's just about the color. Alas, his 3rd, Mark Kennedy, is not letting go of those accusations from the Swedish and previously the Swiss teams of hogline double touch violations, which, of course, led to that profane argument with Sweden, led to curling officials reprimanding Canada and then putting umpires on the rink to look for these double touches. Kennedy, quote, "I think the whole spirit of curling is dead, unfortunately. We don't look for infractions at Grand Slams. We don't look for that kind of stuff on tour. We just trust the people around us aren't trying to cheat." A little much, Mark, to use language he might understand. Move the fuck on. You've tossed every toy from the pram now, and you've got a gold medal to win.
Well,
I don't believe the rest of the curling world is looking at this accusation in the sort of sky is falling, doom and gloom, something has been lost here terms that Kennedy is.
Well, I'll disagree a little bit. I think it's a huge story right now globally. I think people have held on to this, and he is feeling awfully defensive about it because he knows.
Super defensive.
And he knows deep down, it does nothing, and yet people are continuing. I went
it
into the
does
comments.
nothing,
Just a
but
sec.
it is a rule, Blake, and he is on video clearly touching the rock.
I'm not denying that, but the equivalent that I'll give to you is in tennis. If you have your toe over the line as you serve, it's a foul. You can't do that.
Serena, remember, at the U.S. Open in the foot faults.
But it's not an advantage if you happen to get away from it. Like being a 3/4 of an inch ahead, like it's not giving you an advantage. So is it a foul? Yes, but it's not cheating. That's the delineation point, and that's what's got him red mad. Is I'm not cheating. Did I touch it? Yeah.
And I know the Swedish fans are all over this on social media, as well as the Swedes taking video and photos of it, which they're not supposed to do. Here's what I will say, though, Blake. If it was demonstrably false by the video, I could hear his mouth here. But it's not.
No, it's not.
It is a rule.
Mm-hmm.
You broke it. Take your medicine and go curl your best game. Bring home a gold medal. No one will remember.
The best answer he could have given was, I didn't even realize I was touching it. It's a foul. You can call me on it, but let's not call this cheating.
Yeah. BC Lions released info on the renovation of their practice facility yesterday. That's a practice facility for those of you at Rogers Arena or at UBC this week. Tom Willander had to go to Sweden. Nowhere to skate here in Vancouver. Professional hockey club.
The Golden Ice?
They have a practice facility.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
Both these teams have found practice facilities.
Whitecaps have a practice facility as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the other teams have found practice facilities.
Vancouver Canadians building facilities.
Yeah. Interesting.
Earlier this month, work began on the 43-year-old Lions practice facility in North Surrey. That's the other thing, Blake. It's nearly a half-century old.
Now, they got in on land early with their lease.
Sure did.
They don't own it, but they got a lease in
It's
there.
a more spacious locker room. It's a new weight room. It's an improved player lounge with a fully functioning kitchen. Neil McAvoy, who just celebrated 30 years with the Lions. Congrats. Happy anniversary, Neil. Says, quote, taking walls down, making it more modern. It's going to be newly updated facility that we're all going to be very proud of. We've been talking about this for a while. The reality is this facility needed to be upgraded. It's a testament to Amar that he saw it and said these changes needed to be done. That's an investment by him into this football team, and he's committed to getting it done.
And here's the other
How
part.
about that? Investment and commitment from the owner.
And here's the thing, Matt. The Lions do this with full knowledge. They might be out of that facility in 5 years because that lease is not ironclad. So this is money, perhaps for a 5 to 8 year.
This could be good money after.
Yeah, absolutely. But they needed to do it, so they did it.
Seahawks Cooper Kupp, his $9 million in 2026 full guarantees vested last week, and that means the Seahawks look like they are going to keep him for a second season of this 3-year deal. Veteran former L.A. Ram would have cut him before this. And an interesting hire from the Seahawks is the running backs coach. Thomas Hammock interviewed for the offensive coordinator's job. He's so impressed. He coached running backs for 5 years in Baltimore alongside Mike McDonald. He was the head coach at Northern Illinois University, Blake. You don't see a lot of college head coaches accepting NFL position jobs. Not that Northern Illinois is a top college job. His team upset Notre Dame a year ago, September, at South Bend. He gave a tearful, emotional interview on the field post-game. It was Notre Dame's only loss that year until the national championship game against Ohio State. So he's going to bring some emotion to that running backs room. I'm sure he's hoping to coach Kenneth Walker. And advantage Seahawks over the 49ers when it comes to travel in 2026. Remember, the Hawks were up to play that Melbourne game against the Rams, but it wound up being San Francisco. And now San Francisco has a home game in Mexico City this year. So they're going to play a quote-unquote road game in Melbourne, a home game in Mexico City, and they have trips to the East Coast to play the Giants and the Falcons in Atlanta.
Oh,
as Field Yates says, this might be the most well-traveled team in NFL history next year.
That is a huge benefit. Now
For the team that's by the substation with all the injuries to begin with.
They are, probably 2 hours closer to Australia than Seattle is, so it makes a little bit of sense in that regard. But to have Mexico City on the docket as well,
in the altitude too,
is kind of crazy.
Tiger Woods hosting the Genesis Invitational at Riviera in LA this week. And that means meeting the media, where he says the Masters in April is not off the table. Last played competitively at the Open Championship in July 2024.
I don't think they need to ready his green jacket.
Probably not. Do you think Tiger will join the tradition of Nicholas Palmer, Player, Snead, Byron Nelson as a ceremonial starter of the Masters one day?
He might, but I think some time will have to elapse before he
he's not old enough yet.
Well, also just
Jack sort of went kicking and screaming into that. He didn't want to be this sort of ornamental ambassador, and then he resigned himself to the fact that he is one way or the other.
And I think Tiger has the exact same attitude.
Yeah. A reminder, tomorrow, no show for us because we clear out to make room for the Nation in the Nation Network studio for Irfan Gaffar, Madison Packer, and Anne-Sophie Bate for the 10 a.m. gold medal game from Milan, Canada versus the United States. They're doing a watch-along live stream. Watch them and listen to the analysis from Bate and Packer here as Canada faces their old arch nemesis, the United States, who just looks so good and are a heavy favorite for the gold medal in women's ice hockey. Results of the Yellow Dog poll question from Tuesday: Blake, Elias Pettersson to LA for Quentin Byfield. Who says no? The options here were Canucks, Kings, neither, both. Winner is?
I will say neither because people want it to happen.
Kings, 42%. Vancouver, 24%. Neither, 19%. Both, 15%. Jose says Kings laugh in your face. Aaron says terrible trade for the Canucks. There you go.
Wow.
DJ Skade feels like a lose-lose for both team if it went down like that. And Robbie says maybe I'm crazy. I still believe EP40 will figure it out. Errors and omissions from yesterday's program were both on the docket here, Blake. You mentioned 4 years for Ashton Bell at Minnesota Duluth. She wound up staying 6 years. She was part of that COVID cohort, which gave everybody an extra year of NCAA eligibility. And I said Rachel Homan missed some shots against Sweden and needed the Swedish skip to screw it up in the 9th and 10th end, which was true. But she also had the shot of the Olympic tournament with a triple takeout late, which proved key. So I should give her credit for that. Great shot, Rachel Homan. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels. Costs you nothing. YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time weekdays. Again, not tomorrow. We will be going on Friday. We don't know the times yet of the semifinals, so stay tuned. We'll update you on our social channels. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Keep it local.